Hello and welcome all of you to today's daily news analysis. Now, if we discuss the daily news analysis of today, we will find that there are two important articles that I'll be discussing. One is the editorial of The Hindu of 29th of December, the true front war that India might have to face the dilemma. And another article is again related to international relations, that is war and words. It is about related to the Afghan peace process that we are there. So I'll just take 10 minutes. The first one is dealing with India two front challenges. Okay, so two front challenge kya hai? Let's understand the dynamics. Let's focus on that. Now we all know that recent standoff is going on with China. This GS2, India and neighborhood, and of course internal security as well. So recent border standoff is going on with China, and India's military earlier, उनको लगता था that cohesive China, that both China and sorry, both China and Pakistan coming together was a real possibility. यानी military को लगता था that China Pakistan can come together, and hence we should develop our capability. Military felt that if China Pakistan comes together and in the worst situation, we should be ready for that. China has never intervened militarily in India-Pakistan conflict. That is the reality in the past 75 years. So India's strategic thinking has always been focused on Pakistan, and they felt that security issues will come from Pakistan, not from China. But today there's a feeling that maybe we might see both coming together. Now intrusions change things. अभी जो challenge चल रहा है India and China में, China today is more powerful, and naturally it is a strategic enemy. There's a feeling that कि अगर जो conventional war यानी एक normal जो war होता है, that is very low. Reverse is true of Pakistan as well. There is a greater likelihood of conflict on the western border. जो पाकिस्तान से सटा हुआ जो border है, there again there'll be no full-fledged war, but there might be a major terror attack that might happen. And currently, India and China crisis, in the backdrop of Indian-China crisis, if is resolved peacefully, अगर हम resolve कर लेते हैं, then of course we might see that China will be our more focus in terms of attention. यानी India के लिए China will be the bigger question rather than Pakistan. Now let's forget China for a while and understand how Pakistan has been doing in the past 2-3 years. So in the past 2 years, there has been a 4-fold increase in the ceasefire violation by Pakistan. यानी ceasefire violation जो है वो almost 4 times बढ़ गए हैं. And and there is another media report which says that Pakistan has added 20,000 troops in the Gilgit-Baltistan, matching the Chinese deployments in eastern Ladakh. So both, now that is Gilgit-Baltistan and Ladakh, in between India is sandwich, and that is where India might have to face a challenge as per the media report. Now let's talk about China and Pakistan. Pakistan is an all-weather friend of China, and same is true with Pakistan as well, China as well. So over the years, क्या हो रहा है? The two countries have strengthened their alignment in the strategic thinking. The strategic thinking similar lines पे हो गई है. China has invested heavily where the China-Pakistan economic corridor is concerned. And अगर आज की बात करें, so military cooperation is very much growing. China से ही maximum arms are purchased by Pakistan. China accounting 73% of the total imports and arms imports between the last 4 years. Recently, the Pakistan Air Force and People's Liberation Army Air Force, they came together and they were having a joint exercise, which was appreciated by the Pakistan Chief of Army, because they said that we need to work together and interoperability is important. So एक चीज तो समझ में आती है that China and Pakistan are definitely going to be friend, and that is going to be different for India, and India will have to be ready that how do we handle both the countries together. Now, what are the dilemmas for India? पहला तो है two-front conflict is something that Indian military might have to face in terms of dilemma. यानी एक तो resources का है and strategy का है. Naturally, resources, if you have a two-front war, अगर हम west में पाकिस्तान से east में or on the northern border we try to fight with China, then for that we need 60 combat squadron in terms of air force, which is right now, which is double of the current the force that we have. So that is a very difficult thing to do. The second is a majority of assets of Indian Army are sent to the northern border. It will require military to rethink its strategy. अगर हम Indian Army को, Indian Air Force को let's say we send to China's border so that we can secure our this thing. Then how we will going to support or secure the western border which is bordering Pakistan? तो ये second dilemma है. That पहला तो what if there's a two-front war? So how do we deal it? Should we have more air force because air force is important? The second is in terms of asset. If we put all assets in towards the northern border, तो पाकिस्तान वाला जो border है वहां हम कैसे handle करेंगे? So two-front challenge is always there. Now, in the recent time, there has been too much focus on platforms like aircraft, ships, tanks, and not on future technologies like robotics, in artificial intelligence, cyber, electronics warfare. So India को heavy machinery and gadgets के अलावा we need to work on the technology as well because that is the way forward. So we need to focus on understand that a right balance is needed between the detailed assessment of China and Pakistan's war fighting strategies. So resources and strategy दोनों पे हमें काम करना है. We have to think ahead. Now, what is the role of diplomacy? Diplomacy का क्या role play होता है in the recent time? Diplomacy is the most important factor which can address the meeting the two front challenge. The government का जो current engagement है, we wants to engage with West Asia. We want to ensure energy security. We want energy cooperation, maritime cooperation, and in the extended neighborhood, we want goodwill. Similarly, India also wants to develop good relationship with Moscow. अभी हमारा इंडिया एंड यूएस का रिलेशनशिप थोड़ा क्लोज हुआ है, बट दैट शुड नॉट बी एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ मॉस्को. दैट इज व्हाट आर्टिकल सेज. बिकॉज ये कहना है कि जो रशिया है, इट कैन प्ले अ वेरी डिफ्यूजिंग रोल, स्पेशली इन द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन अमंग इंडिया, चाइना एंड पाकिस्तान. So here Russia can play a very important role, or maybe moving towards Pakistan, USA is something which is again a right strategy, but government might have to rethink. क्वाड है, जैसे क्वाड्रिलेटरल सिक्योरिटी डायलॉग है, इंडो पैसिफिक है, वो हमारा अभी नया फोकस हो गया. वी वांट टू मूव इंडो पैसिफिक. वी आर को-अलाइनिंग विद यूरोपियन यूनियन. द क्वाड में जो है इंडिया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, जापान, यूएस है. So all these things are the new areas of grand strategy, and at the same time we also need to think about maritime strategy, so that जो Sino-Pakistan relationship है, उसका जो pressure है, we are able to handle, especially in the Indian Ocean side. So diplomacy will be the key thing. India is going to engage, but at the same time we have to keep our cards closer and make sure that we जो हमारा current engagement है energy security का, उसके beyond we need to cooperate with Russia. Now, in Kashmir, what is the way in Kashmir? Kashmir is something which will require solution to the problem in terms of political will. Maybe tomorrow, stability in Kashmir might lead to potential goodwill with Pakistan, and terrorist infiltration might also come down. Though I feel that it is a wishful thinking, my own idea and understanding. It is important to remember that China, a rising and aggressive superpower next door, is a bigger strategic threat for India. Pakistan being second order accessory to China's contain India strategy. The future में China might become superpower, and definitely it will go to be a challenge. Similarly, Pakistan being another country which might be used by China so that they can contain India. Now remember, China China feels that only country which can threaten in future is of course India. So China के हिसाब से India is the only country that might threaten China's existence or maybe strength. So New Delhi will have to do well politically to reduce the effect of both China and Pakistan coming together, because they want to contain India, and that is their strategy. So यहाँ के लिए India will have to tread its paths very carefully. So this is the article about that. The second article is also related to international relations, war and words, on Afghanistan's slow progress towards peace and stability. Now, more than almost 2 decades have passed when Afghanistan was attacked by USA post 9/11. But now, after so much of things are kind of moving as they were earlier. Afghanistan government and Taliban, now they want to discuss things. US चाहता है कि दोनों के बीच एक rapprochement हो जाए. And as per the news is concerned, Afghan government and Taliban are preparing to resume talk in Doha next week. And the problem is that the violence has increased. 2020 has been the worst year in Afghan's 19-year conflict, and US-Taliban agreement के हिसाब से US will withdraw from Afghanistan and Al-Qaeda, and they want that Al-Qaeda should not operate from Afghan soil. So now the relationship between Afghanistan and Taliban peace process have begun. Now that is the first time पहले दोहा में हुआ, but despite all the efforts, both the sides have continued that attack. उन्होंने एक दूसरे पर अटैक किए हैं. The violence has surged by almost 50%, and according to the U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, Afghanistan also saw increase in targeted killing, especially media professionals. तो media professionals की death हुई है. So Taliban peace process with Afghanistan is is not a very a positive and very, you can say, thought-provoking outcome that we might see. आगे क्या है? The peace process. The article says कि peace process एक बहुत ही complicated process है. First, US cut the deal with Taliban because the US felt that they cannot stay in Afghanistan forever. And resurgence of Taliban फिर से grow किया, and basically Taliban got support from Pakistan and they were able to survive. So Pakistan, US first cut deal with Taliban and then armed twisted the government to join talk. So US has basically forced the government of Afghanistan to discuss with them. Now 2019 में elections हुए थे, and that were challenged by Abdullah, where the current president legitimacy was questioned. 3 month के talk के बाद Taliban and government delegation agreed on rules and procedure for talks, but ceasefire is still elusive. So there is no much headway in terms of the peace process. Only time will tell. But the article says that talks are very much crucial and vital for finding a solution, and it should not be from Taliban's term. Taliban के term पे peace process नहीं होना चाहिए, and so that we have to ensure that whatever progress has happened in Afghanistan, that does not happen since the fall of Taliban. So progress हुआ है वो maintain होना चाहिए, and way forward should be development of Afghanistan. That should be the way forward. That completes the article. There are 2 questions of mains marathon. You can see them.